Have you ever wondered if the happiest day of your life might actually be the day that quietly destroys it? Most people spend 40 years dreaming about retirement. They count the days, they circle the date, they imagine freedom. No alarm clocks, no bosses, no deadlines, no stress, just freedom. But today, I want you to imagine something completely different. What if you never retired? Not because you couldn't, not because you were forced to keep working, but because you chose not to. What if the biggest retirement mistake isn't retiring too late, but retiring at all? I know that sounds crazy. For most of my life, I believed retirement was the finish line. Work hard, save money, pay off the house, raise the kids, build the nest egg, then finally stop. That was the dream. At least that's what everyone told me. But the older I get, the more I realize something nobody talks about. Human beings were never designed to stop. And the evidence is everywhere. My name is Frank. And today, I want to share a question that completely changed the way I think about retirement. A question that may change the way you think about your future forever. What if you never retired? Let's talk about it, because a few years ago, I met a man named Walter. Walter was 83 years old. Every morning at 6 o'clock, he walked into the same hardware store. Not because he needed the money. He didn't. He had enough savings. His house was paid off. His pension covered his expenses. His children were successful. His grandchildren adored him. He could have stayed home every day for the rest of his life. But he didn't. Instead, he spent 4 hours every morning helping customers find tools, talking to people, solving problems, sharing stories, laughing, being useful. One day, I asked him a question. "Walter, why are you still working?" He smiled, and his answer hit me harder than I expected. He said, "Frank, I'm not working for money anymore." Then he paused. "I'm working because I still want to wake up with a reason." That sentence stayed with me, because deep down, that's what retirement really changes. Not your income, your purpose. And purpose is far more valuable than most people realize. Think about it. For 40 years, your life has structure. You wake up, you have responsibilities. People depend on you. You solve problems. You make decisions. You contribute. You matter. Then, one day, all of that disappears. Not gradually, instantly. One retirement party, one farewell speech, one last drive home, and suddenly the world that needed you yesterday seems perfectly fine without you today. That's a difficult adjustment, far more difficult than most financial planners acknowledge, because money solves financial problems, but money doesn't solve meaning. I learned this lesson from a retired engineer I met during a community event. For decades, he designed bridges, massive projects. Thousands of people depended on his expertise. Every day mattered. Then retirement arrived. At first, it felt wonderful. No stress, no meetings, no pressure. He traveled, played golf, relaxed. Everything looked perfect. For about 6 months. Then something changed. The excitement disappeared. The vacations became repetitive. The golf games became boring. The days started blending together. Monday felt like Wednesday. Wednesday felt like Sunday. Time lost its shape. And he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Frank, I thought I wanted freedom." Then he looked away. What I really wanted was balance. That distinction is important because unlimited freedom sounds wonderful until you have it. Imagine eating your favorite meal every day. Eventually, it stops feeling special. The same thing happens with leisure. When every day feels like a vacation, vacation stops feeling like vacation. That's why so many retirees eventually start volunteering, consulting, teaching, mentoring, starting small businesses, helping charities, joining community projects. They aren't chasing money, they're chasing meaning. And meaning often hides inside responsibility. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying everyone should stay at a stressful job forever. Absolutely not. Some jobs drain the life out of people. Some workplaces damage physical health. Some careers create endless stress. Leaving those situations can be one of the best decisions you'll ever make. But leaving work and leaving purpose are two completely different things. The happiest older adults I've ever met have one thing in common. They still have something pulling them out of bed every morning. Something that matters. Something bigger than entertainment. Something bigger than comfort. Something bigger than themselves. One man teaches woodworking. Another mentors young entrepreneurs. One woman runs a small community garden. Another spends her mornings reading to children. They aren't retired from life. They've simply retired from their paycheck. That's a huge difference. And maybe that's the retirement model nobody talks about. Maybe the goal isn't to stop working. Maybe the goal is to stop doing work you hate. Think about that for a moment. What if retirement wasn't the end of contribution, but the beginning of choosing your contribution? Imagine waking up tomorrow, no financial pressure, no demanding boss, no mandatory schedule, yet you still decide to do meaningful work. Not because you have to, because you want to. That sounds very different from traditional retirement, and honestly, it sounds a lot healthier. Because human beings crave significance. We want to feel useful. We want to feel needed. We want to know that our existence makes a difference. Take that away completely, and something inside us starts to shrink, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day we find ourselves wondering why we're not as happy as we expected. The problem wasn't retirement. The problem was disconnection. Disconnection from purpose, disconnection from contribution, disconnection from growth. Because growth doesn't have an age limit. Learning doesn't have an age limit. Helping doesn't have an age limit. Dreaming doesn't have an age limit. And neither does purpose. Some of the most inspiring people I've ever encountered didn't slow down in their 70s. They reinvented themselves. One started painting at 72. Another wrote his first book at 78. One woman launched a charity after 80. Another learned a new language at 83. They didn't retire from becoming. They kept becoming. And maybe that's the secret. Maybe aging successfully isn't about preserving youth. Maybe it's about preserving curiosity, preserving contribution, preserving movement. Not necessarily physical movement, life movement, forward movement, the kind that gives tomorrow a reason to exist. Because here's a truth I wish more people understood. The opposite of work isn't happiness. The opposite of work is often boredom, and boredom can quietly become loneliness. Loneliness can become isolation, and isolation can become something far more dangerous. That's why purpose matters, not because it makes us productive, because it keeps us connected, connected to people, connected to growth, connected to life itself. So let's return to the question, what if you never retired? Maybe that doesn't mean spending 80 hours a week in an office. Maybe it means never retiring from learning, never retiring from helping, never retiring from creating, never retiring from serving, never retiring from becoming the person you're still capable of becoming. Maybe the goal isn't to stop. Maybe the goal is to choose, to wake up each morning and decide what deserves your energy, what deserves your experience, what deserves the wisdom you've spent an entire lifetime earning. Because the world still needs that wisdom. Your family needs it. Your community needs it. The next generation desperately needs it. And perhaps you need it too. So, if you're counting down the days until retirement, I want you to ask yourself one question. Not how much money have I saved, not when can I stop working, but this: what will make me excited to wake up on a Tuesday morning when nobody is forcing me to? Because the answer to that question may determine the quality of your retirement far more than any investment account ever will. And maybe, just maybe, the richest retirement isn't the one where you stop working forever. It's the one where you never stop living. I'm Frank, and if this message resonated with you, remember this: don't spend your life building an escape plan. Spend your life building a future worth waking up for, because purpose doesn't retire, and neither should you.